Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and as requested, this video will be a showcase of the build that I used in order to farm over 500 divines over the past week for the 7 days 7 farm challenge. Now, what I will say is I am not Palstra, I am not Rutu, I am not even Metal, and I cannot kill Uber bosses on one divine like Mr. Jungron can. But what I can do is put together a decent build that does exactly what I want it to do, and I'm happy with that. So I don't want everyone pointing out what I've done wrong, anything like that. I'm more than happy with the build. I'm not a great build maker, but I'm more than happy to share what I've got since it was so requested. If you're just here for the POB, it is in the description. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you do use POB, maybe leave a like if you do like the POB. But if not, enjoy the rest of the video. I'm going to go over some of the crafts, how we did the wand, well, how we got the wand. We didn't actually craft it ourselves, and maybe some of the choices I made along the way. So enjoy the video. So why exactly did I choose to play BV? Well, what I wanted to do was farm Delirious maps originally. What you typically want is a build that scales well with Headhunter, which typically is physical builds, because Headhunter provides a lot of buffs that give you physical damage as extra. So scaling our physical damage allows us to get more buffs from the Headhunter and also scale the Exploding mod from our chest. And then we went with Occultist because that gave us a ton of AOE with our Power Charge stacking, and also the Heart of Destruction Forbidden Fleshes. So we got a lot of AoE, we got a lot of physical damage, and physical damage is extra, and that just means BV is a really solid choice. And a less important reason, but one nonetheless, is I just like using the Squire. It's just one of my favorite uniques, so that definitely weighed in. I like the Squire, so that's why I went with that. Now, one of the important things when using the Squire is that your main hand weapon typically wants to come with a few links. Now, as you can see, this wand is really good, and you might be thinking, how the hell was this crafted? It looks so weird, right? I know, I saw this on trade. We actually were on stream trying to figure out just exactly how it was made. We were like, is he got to the multi-mod and then annulled the extra crafted mod and then slammed on the final mod? And all of this was wrong because someone came into chat and they explained to me that there is actually an enchant in the game that says this can have one additional crafted modifier, and this may seem pretty innocuous, unimportant, but what this means is the wand becomes very craftable. Now, it's very hard to get. This one's up for 1,000 divines. I doubt it's going to sell for that much. It's been there a while because I've been watching it, but that is how the wand was crafted. It's still a long process to make. I actually ended up buying this wand for 200 divines. God knows why the guy sold it to me, because I've mirrored it 4 times since then. But that's how we got it. That's how it was crafted. It still costs an insane amount of money to do so, so I don't think you're going to be able to craft it yourself because these bases just aren't available at this point in the league. People aren't heisting as much. You're not going to get access to those bases. And following on from that, as I said, we are power charge stacking, which means our helmet provides us with that extra power charge. And also we've got the elevated nearby enemies have -12 to cold res. It's not essential, it's elevated. You only want to get -9. It is what it is, a bit cheaper. Then Ashes, because we run a lot of auras, and the plus level is huge for BV. BV scales really well with levels, which is why we've actually got the Empower, and then the +2 levels to Empower from our one. That's why that's one of the crafted mods. Now, what we're doing with all this physical damage is we're converting it to cold. That's what these gloves do. We have 25% on the implicit there, and then 35% as one of the crafted modifiers. We actually made these by fracturing the damage against chilled enemies. And then we crafted with Essences of Envy, which allowed us to hit a T1 res. And then as soon as we did that, we did Suffixes Cannot Be Changed, hit it with a Veiled Chaos Orb, we hit the Fizz damage, converted to cold, and then we slammed on the Energy Shield, which is really good because it allowed us to use our BV. That's why I went with Sork Gloves, and I was really hoping to get this Energy Shield roll. So we got quite lucky with getting T1 unassailable percentage Energy Shield because it allows our EB to be very, very good. It lets we'd never have to worry about mana. We can run Grace, and that allows us to run J-Flask. It just makes us more durable. Ring also provides us with a power charge. We just crafted this one up. These rings are quite expensive, not essential. You saw in the previous videos I was using Ventus Gambles, so any ring with crit multi or whatever is fine. The other ring gives us access to our curse. You can get this as a synthesis implicit, or you can use I think it's Redeemer that has the explicit mod, which gives you Frostbite. This is a good place to get your stats as well. Maybe if you need some strength or some dex or some resistances, your rings are a good spot to do that. Chest, increased effect of non-curse auras, elevated because we do run a lot of auras, and then of course Explode, because Explode deals physical damage and we're scaling all that fizz. Boots, fairly standard. The only thing you really can vary on with these boots is typically the 3rd suffix. We went for lightning res just because we needed some. As you can see, I'm quite lazy. I don't have these enchanted. You should get these enchanted with the 80% chance to avoid being stunned. That is what I would go for. And then in terms of what's important on the skill tree, again, this will be linked below, so don't worry about it. We have a Militant Faith, which provides us with Inner Conviction, which is 3% more spell damage per power charge. I think we're at 9 or 10 power charges, which gives us 27 or 30% more spell damage at the cost of using Frenzy Charges. But Frenzy Charges aren't as great for this build because we don't need cast speed, we don't need attack speed. The movement speed is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth losing 27% more spell damage. Then we have to take a lot of mana reservation efficiency, even going as far as getting a small cluster jewel. This will set you back a little bit. We have Spiteful Presence on this, which gives our hatred increased mana reservation efficiency. And you can see here, we have 14 mana left over. So very tight on the mana reservation efficiency. If you can get yourself an Awakened Enlightened level 5, then you're going to be laughing and it's not going to be as strict. What else have we got? It's very important that you grab yourself a cold cluster for this side. I went with Blast Freeze because Blast Freeze allows our Herald of Ice to pro-lift the freezers. This is mainly for like simulacrums and stuff like that. It's not essential. You can go with like Blanketed Snow, Widespread Destruction, Doriani's Lesson, anything you want. These are quite hard to get, but if you can get hold of this one, it makes simulacrums really nice. Blast Freeze is such a good defensive tool. This one is a bit more out there. This is a bit different. This is kind of my touch. I went with a large physical damage cluster that gives us Chaos Res, Max Life, Strength, and increased effect. And the reason I did this is simply we need strength. We didn't have a lot of life, and I would like to be Chaos Res capped. So this was perfect for that. And obviously the physical damage scales everything we have in the build. It's perfect. We are running 3 Heralds, so I decided to go with an increased damage while affected by a Herald, medium cluster with Empowered Envoy and Purposeful Harbinger, which as you can see gives us increased aura effects. And also the effect of our Heralds are better, which is very good because we've got our Herald of Purity giving them more physical damage. We've got Herald of Ice, which is obviously pro-lifting those freezes and cleaning up all the extra mobs that our Explodes don't get. And then Herald of Ash doing the same thing. Now, we also went with Towering Threat and Vast Power. This gives us a huge amount of AoE. It's 3% per power charge. And then, very importantly, Forbidden Flame with Heart of Destruction. 60% increased area of effect while you don't have Convergence. It's huge. 60% area effect is massive. It is very important to get area of effect on this build, or you're going to basically be in melee range with the mobs. Area of effect is a hugely important thing on this build. And then this is where we get the rest of our physical damage conversion. It is on this Cold Mastery. One very important thing that you might see and think is not very important is the Unnatural Instincts. Now the reason this is so important is because it gives us that 30 life on kill and also the 30 energy shield on kill, which means we're never short of energy shield because our mana cost is actually really high, 152. That's almost a quarter of our energy shield. So we need that energy shield coming back thick and fast so that we can keep our haste up, which takes almost all of our energy shield. So you really want that coming back. So the Natural Instinct is not something to be ignored or skipped. It also gives you some nice chaos res, a bit of life, a bit of mana, and some dex, which is quite important as well. Other than that, that's the tree. Again, it will be linked down below. It might not be perfect, but it does the job for me. Now, in terms of our auras, what are we running? We've got Herald of Purity, we're running Herald of Ash, Herald of Ice, Defiance Banner, and obviously Grace is on our Divergent Blessing. And then in the boots here, we have Determination, Hatred, and Anomalous Zealotry. So a lot of auras, scaling a lot of aura effects, which gives us a ton of damage. And at Xeres, and a Taste of Hate because those physical damage as extra are really nice. This is also nice if you want to cut the chaos resistance suffix on the gloves to get another res or maybe an attribute. You can do that because you will still be capped with the flask. Now you can run a Bottled Faith, and then if you do want to go for the Magic Find, which I have showed in the previous videos, you can add in a gold flask, get yourself some good Venters. I would make sure they are good because you're going to need those resistances that you're going to lack as a result of removing these rings. And then the helmet you can just craft on this increased rarity of items dropped by slain, rare, or unique enemies. So that's it, guys. As I say, I'm not a build maker. I'm not a build guide maker. This is just showing what I'm doing and why I did it. So I hope you're happy with this. If you just came and you wanted the POB, as I said, it will be in the description. Go check it out. I'm not sure how you do this on a budget. I've never had to do it on a budget. I have seen some versions of the build that use a bow done by Crouching Tuna. And also there's like Void Battery versions. You'll have to look these up. I'm not the guy to come to ask how they work. I can only apologize for that. I'm it's not what I do. But yeah, this build was absolutely incredible. I loved playing it. I'm not even normally I'll sell my builds when I'm done with them. I'm not doing that with this one. This one will sit here and we'll come back to it in the future. But next we are moving on to a deck stacker. I wanted to set myself a challenge of crafting every piece of gear for a build, which is exactly what I've done with this one. We crafted an amazing claw, a really cool amulet, a nice chest that we fractured ourselves. I'm really excited to play this build. We're going to be leveling it on stream tonight, and if you want to check that out, come on by. We'll see how the build gets going. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next week where we're going to be doing 5 days, 5 farms outside of maps. See you later, guys.